So I'm standing in for Bill because he's driving, and he'll sit back in when he's on actual solid ground. But I will open the meeting for the Open Space Committee. It's Wednesday, June 17th at 6:04. And so we have calling to order and then citizen queries. I don't see any citizens on the line, but does anybody have any citizen queries that they've heard about that they are responsible for bringing forward?
Nope.
All right, then we will move on to the Open Space Committee meeting minutes. Thank you so much, Sadie, for sending those out. Thank you, Mike, for putting them together. Does anybody have any comments or questions on the meeting minutes? Hearing none, then shall we vote to approve the meeting minutes?
Make a motion to accept the June 2nd, 2026 Open Space Committee meeting minutes.
I can second that.
All right, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, the meeting minutes have been approved. Um, the next on the agenda is to review the edits to the action plan. So Sadie, shall I hand it over to you?
Sure, I can share, and we don't have to like necessarily go through each thing, but I just thought this could be like an opportunity if anyone had things they wanted to talk about while they went through it since the last meeting. I know Kristen and I were going through it today and adding things to the potential funding column, and we could talk about that a little bit. But yeah, I think it's pretty similar to where we left it. Just added things in the accessory columns. But yeah, I don't know. Does anyone have anything they want to discuss at the moment?
Just say thank you for filling in the funding column. I didn't have any clue where to begin there, so I appreciate that from you and Kristen.
Yeah, that was all Kristen.
We definitely just started and it's not done thoroughly by any means yet, but there's not the state has done a great job, as you guys probably know, with trying to make it easier for towns to apply for grants. And so kind of bundling everything into this one-stop community one-stop. And now they have this particular environmental and climate, which is the eco one-stop. So the way the portal works is you just put your project idea in with a letter of interest, and then they give you comments back like, oh, this sounds like it would be a good candidate for the park grant or the land and conservation. Some of the grants are not in the eco one stop, and I have to admit I haven't really dived into that yet. So anyway, there's definitely more specificity that can be filled in related to potential funding, but in many cases, it was seeming to me like it's either, a one-stop opportunity, and then they'll tell you where to go with the grant. And those are annual fiscal year state grants for the most part, the one-stop program. There's certainly federal grants that I haven't really, some of you guys might know more about those than I do. And then Mike, I think your comment in there was, it does seem like a number of the objectives and action items are people power, right? Like time, committee work, staff work, sort of sorting through information that we have, but just organizing it. And that's hard to fund outside of funding time, which is, certainly resources in terms of municipal staff is a question that could be considered. And then I'll stop talking in a minute. My one other thought as Sadie and I were looking at this is there are ways to access technical assistance through the Regional Planning Agency, which is, you guys know, because we're using their help with this project. But some of the things like mapping or reviewing zoning, like things like that are sort of in the category of planning or mapping or other sort of assessment technical assistance. Like we're going to ask them to help us with a bike pedestrian count out on Plum Island Turnpike. Like those are things that we have some technical assistance time built into a fiscal year. So that really just requires advance planning on what the project is and then coordinating with the staff at the Regional Planning Commission. So I put that in a funding category, even though it's there's no money required. It's just coordination in terms of technical assistance hours. So that's what we started doing. And as I said, it's not complete yet, but it's a start.
Yeah, it looks really good. And I mean, should we consider, do we even add in like volunteer hours as a funding source, or do we just stay silent on that in that column?
Yeah, good, great question. I don't know. I think some of those are sort of the NA is a placeholder for time, right? So maybe it would be more accurate to identify that it is, there is a value to volunteer time for sure.
Yeah. I imagine that we'll get some feedback on those as well from Merrimack Valley and from the state when we give them this. Hopefully maybe we could specifically ask them also. So yeah, this is awesome. Thank you so much for filling in these 3 columns here to advance the ball.
Yeah, I didn't really review the timing so much. I don't know how much talking you guys have done about that.
I kind of just took a stab. So I would encourage review of that column.
Should we just review it right now? Kind of like we did on the last call. I feel like it will go really quick.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. I also see that there's a comment in here from Kristen, so we should tackle that one too in terms of whether there's overlap. We might need to refine some wording on a couple of the objectives.
Yeah. Sounds good. Do we want to start with the objectives first and then go through
And then go to the timing?
Yeah.
So, okay, Kristen, I see your comment in here in row 20 for objective 3.1, and it seems similar to 2.2. And so that means if you read it that way, that means everybody else who reviews this will also read it that way. So let's change the words and let's make sure we really do believe that they're separate. So 2.2 was to review properties to identify parcels that can contribute to meeting the needs identified in the plan. It was more in terms of preservation and protection. And so maybe we should rephrase this to talk about the preservation and protection of scenic views in natural areas. So that was like one objective. And then the one in 3.1 was which parcels like could enhance existing, which are already used as existing open spaces, but they need some enhancements. And we should like target those to actually do enhancements on existing spaces. Is that different enough? Seems different enough that we should keep them as 2 separate objectives, but maybe we need to say it more clearly.
Or do we need to add like a difference between the two in like a developed, undeveloped kind of way, like Great Meadow. I know it's not perfect, but it exists. It's known as an open space area. It needs more, as opposed to maybe in 2.2, maybe that's parcels that haven't been built up yet, I guess what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the difference between the two? Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't want
Yep.
to say
Exactly.
existing and non-existing because they're both for town owned parcels, not like future acquisition.
Yeah. How about I just put in parentheses, not yet protected, preserved. So I'm kind of writing in that 2.2. Um,
So is the point that there's an open space parcel that isn't permanently protected? Is that? Because I guess I think the reason this struck me was there are not a ton of town-owned parcels. So reviewing them to identify parcels that could contribute. I guess I just don't really understand this one. So maybe someone can explain it a little more. Like, are we talking about, I mean, you mentioned Great Marsh or Great Meadow. So I mean, I don't think there's any threat of development there. It's already protected. I don't know what
so that one would
classification
fall
of
under the
protection.
3.1. That parcel, I think Mike was saying, that's the 3.1 where like, what could we do to enhance an already existing protected space?
Oh, okay.
And so 2.2 is, and I think that the genesis of this one was like, do we not really feel like everyone has a good grasp as to where are the town-owned properties? Have we reviewed them? Are any of them like adjacent to something that's preserved that we should actually preserve them? And so if there aren't that many, it could be a quick review, but it also could be a quick checkbox, and then we could all like know what's out there.
Isn't there a list in this plan? We have a list of the town-owned parcels, a spreadsheet as part of.
Yeah, so let's look at them on a map and see if they're next to anything and like how they might contribute. Like, are they worthy of putting a conservation restriction on them?
Got it. Yeah, maybe it can just be said the way you just said it, which is determine if town-owned parcels need additional protection for, scenic and natural area objectives or something. But yeah, it's good I mean, I like putting in tasks that are doable and have value. I guess, I mean, that's like, I could think of, their town-owned parcels out in the salt marsh. So there could be like, we could be thinking about restoration, right? Like, that's been a conversation that's been floated around about municipally owned parcels that are providing services as open space. They're not developable at all. The town's not intending, there's no threat, but I don't know what category that would go in, like to do, ditch remediation and salt marsh restoration activities on a town-owned salt marsh.
Yeah, so
Which category would that?
that's enhancement. So that would be 3.1. It's like just protection is 2.2. Enhancement is 3.1.
So we're talking about conservation restrictions on town-owned parcels.
Yeah, or like donate if it's next to Greenbelt, do we like donate it to Greenbelt or something? Or do we, come up with some kind of partnership? So the whole full suite of like, how could you protect a parcel from getting developed in the future?
Yeah. Yeah, that helps me. Thank you. And goal 2 is the protection realm, and then goal 3 is the sort of stewardship maintenance. So there's the distinction there.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool.
So did those edits just come through on I can't see that screen because it's on a different screen. Did those edits just come through on 2.2? Does that look like answers the mail.
Review town-owned properties to identify any parcels that could benefit from initial or additional protection to meet the preservation and/or protection needs identified in this plan.
Okay, that came through. Good.
It's good to me.
So then let's tweak 3.12 to make sure it also says what we want it to say. Review town-owned properties that are already functioning as practical open spaces. We can tweak it later. And identify enhancement opportunities.
It would be good in that process of reviewing to maybe end up prioritizing too,
Mm.
because that's something I always think about and run into. Like any trail I walk on, I'm like, oh, we want to do that. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And then there's, like 8 little projects that all could be great. But if there was a plan that, had some thoughtful prioritization, I think that would be great.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't know, Kristen, did you have any other comments on the objectives themselves?
I don't think so.
All right.
And obviously I lost steam on the funding column. I ran out of time.
That's fine. We can keep working on it this week and next week.
Yeah, it's looking really good, you guys. It really is. Thank you.
Getting there. All right, Sadie, you want to run us through the timing?
Sure.
The rationale?
Yes. So as you can kind of see, a lot of them were ongoing. But I can just start with goal 1. So developing communication within town leadership. I thought that initiating that communication could be kind of a priority in phase 1, and then once it's established, we can we don't have to focus on ramping it up as much. We can just kind of keep it consistent. So I thought that would be a good thing to start off with. Identifying and pursuing funding to support acquisition, development, and maintenance of open space and rec facilities. I thought that could be, something we're always doing, always looking for funding. Investigating local sources of funding mechanisms. I thought, again, that could be something that we kind of start with. If we find something that works for Newbury, then great, we can use it for the rest of these items, the funding that we find. 2.1, ranking criteria, establish a ranking process to prioritize properties to protect. Thought that could be ongoing. We can do sort of a yearly, maybe annual check-in with revamping the list and seeing what needs prioritizing in the next year.
Should we tweak that wording of 2.1? Because it says based on the natural resource mapping, unless like scenic is automatically included with natural resource mapping, because I think we want to have a ranking process. I was thinking like, of course, there's water protection, there's, farmland protection, but then there's also scenic view protection. And so does everybody consider that natural resource mapping would including scenic views, or maybe I should just put in parentheses?
Maybe you just say open space mapping, and then you that's your point, is you want to rank between scenic, farmland, all of that.
Yeah, okay, good.
I sort
So,
of feel like, sorry, I feel like that's, if you're developing criteria, just develop it for the town, right? And then, then you've got it, then you can use it. But I sort of feel like maybe that's a phase one, or maybe that has a, you do it, you develop the criteria, and then you've done it. So there's some kind of end.
Yeah, maybe like, developing that criteria could be phase one, and then doing the
Using
kind of,
it.
yeah, using it as a yearly or ongoing thing, periodic thing.
Hmm.
yeah, I agree. Phase one seems like it makes sense. And welcome, Jim Dooling.
Hey, I finally made it. Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries.
Right. Just
We're
keep.
on to the action item agenda where we're
Yep.
reviewing the columns that Kristen and Sadie have been hard at work on.
Yeah, I saw that clean copy. Looks great.
Awesome. So, do we feel good about 2.1, everyone? About
Yeah, yep, I like it. You're including both. Phase one to develop it, and then we'll just keep using it and we might tweak it because the prioritizations might change across 10 years. For sure it will.
Yes. Sounds good. All right.
Can I, Sadie, I'm sorry, can I interrupt? Because I know I'm gonna have to hop off in a couple minutes. Just one comment about this is it'll be interesting once you go through the timing and everybody feels good about it. It would be interesting to sort by phase, right? And see how many you actually end up with in phase one, and make sure that's a reasonable, it feels reasonable. Then you might be able to like move things around a little bit. Obviously, it's a it's a best guess, right? Because things will come up to shift timing all the time, especially with open space acquisition, where you have an opportunity to do something and, maybe it's not your highest priority, but you still have an opportunity. So anyway, that's my last comment about timing. And then before I have to hop off and get ready for the planning board meeting tonight, I just want to say, I am, Sadie has updated me about the conversations with MVPC about really getting a little bit more support from them, not just like edits and review and comments, but like actually, the polishing stuff that I know you've been talking about. So I think that's a great idea. I said to Sadie, like, we're at a good point with the fiscal year, like use up the hours we have in fiscal year 26 in terms of technical assistance, and then we can see what we have starting July 1. But we also can maybe talk with them about like a small contract, like if they feel as though it's more time, or if we feel that we want to keep some of our technical assistance hours for like other tasks, then we might be able to come up with some small contract. So I've thrown that question out to MVPC, to Kay, Emery, and Hannah, and we'll follow up on that and see. It just might be something we can try to, assuming they have time available, and we'll have that conversation with them next week. But thank you, Christina. I know you've been having those conversations with Sadie, so we want to
Yeah, no,
support
thank you.
that.
That's exciting. That's exciting. Yeah, we'll use up the hours, and it's exciting that there's even a potential to like get a few more hours with them. So great. Thanks for the update.
Yeah. Great. All right. I'm gonna hop off. Thank you guys.
Thanks. Have a good
See you
day.
soon.
In a little bit. All right. So 2.2. Review town on properties to identify any parcels that could benefit from initial or additional protection to meet the preservation and protection needs identified in this plan. Thought that could be ongoing.
So I kind of thought that Christine, especially the way Kristen just said that it's a really short list. So should we just do that in phase one?
Yeah. I think
And
that's
then like we'll bust it out because those might be parcels. Like if we were just to, I mean, it feels like Kristen knows what the parcels are and I don't know. So she probably knows already like there isn't any opportunity here. So I feel like all of us just need to come to that understanding really quickly as well. So we just know that there's no low-hanging fruit hanging out there that we're missing.
yeah, that I agree totally. Good thinking. All right. Collaborate with regional land trusts to support outreach to local landowners and complete conservation acquisitions on lands most suitable for land trust ownership. Maybe this would depend on 2.1 or sorry 2.2, but I thought that that could be ongoing as well. What do you guys think? I feel like things can always be really reevaluated as time goes on. Okay, cool. All right, support Parker River Clean Water Association, Pie Rivers Partnership, and partner organizations to protect water resources and important watershed lands that support water-based recreation. I think that's definitely ongoing. They're always doing, you know, different initiatives, so I think it's good to be involved with them throughout the plan time span. Incorporate public access whenever possible. I put phase 2 just because I don't know. I think this would actually be better to be ongoing, kind of just as needed. Like whenever I think it's kind of like a planning board focus. So whenever projects come in that have open space that could be publicly accessible, it would be good to collaborate with the planning board and
Yeah, I wonder if we make that as needed or like and I don't know if there's a difference between ongoing and as needed, but it's not like we're doing it all the time. It's like we're doing it only on as opportunities arise. Is there?
yeah, like
Maybe
when
category?
applicable or something, or like like as needed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you remind me what OSRD stands for? I feel like that's in the zoning regs, but I can't remember and I want to type it out.
Yeah, it's open space residential development, which is a special kind of subdivision that has like I think it's 50% open space that's publicly accessible.
Thanks.
Yes,
Okay.
no problem. Acquire land or rights that will facilitate trail connections to local parks and rec areas, as well as connect and complete existing trail networks. So, yeah, this sounded kind of complex to me, so I thought that, after we've done kind of the listing and assessing of all the properties, we can then, in phase 2, figure out like what are we going to do with all of these if we are going to do something.
And I would note with that one, which I think we've mentioned before, like as the B2B, the Border to Boston Trail starts, there's an opportunity there to look at the linkages and so on. And the reality is that will not, the construction of that will not happen before 2029. So, yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
All right. Review town-owned properties that are already functioning as practical open spaces and identify enhancement opportunities, noting what role each parcel could play and prioritize the list of opportunities. I thought that could also be something we do in phase 2 as it's a bit more complicated. And it will help to have those other listing tasks done first, if that makes sense. All right, map existing public open space trails to identify gaps and potential future trail connection and linkage projects, including the Border to Boston Trail. I thought that would be good for phase 1 because I know that the Border to Boston Trail is actively,
right,
being mapped out as we speak. So think collaborating with that committee would be good. And you know, brainstorming for future linkages. Um,
Yeah, and just Sean is not on the call, is he? No.
I don't think so.
Yeah, and we are actually, because of some of the design delays that are things beyond our control on the border to Boston, we're starting to compile like whether you call it a wish list or just a broader list of things that we can do in the meanwhile. So like, there could be certainly bandwidth there to start on something like that.
Exactly.
Good.
That's great.
Um, assess properties, including review of the barriers to enjoying open spaces, and share the information with appropriate stewards of those properties to help support efforts to reduce the barriers. I feel like that's an ongoing process. I feel like barriers can come up over time, so it's good to monitor that. Create opportunities for wide demographic to enjoy protected natural areas in Newbury. I thought that I put phase one and ongoing here too because I thought that was something we could start and really ramp up in phase one, but then keep it going as time goes on. Improve access to water-based recreation across the town. I put phase three. I was just thinking about things that we have going on in phase three, and so far we don't have a lot. So I don't recall that being a huge priority on this on the public survey. So I don't know. I was thinking that maybe we could kind of assess in phase one and two, and then take some action in phase three. I don't know how people feel about that, but
Yeah, it's true. I guess I'm trying to figure out if we because this is actually improve. So this is like doing something,
right,
is like identifying the needs.
that's true.
Should we,
It should go earlier.
I don't know, should we break it into two? Or should we like identify the needs in phase two and then I guess you know what? I feel like be hard to, it's a good goal. It's like a stretch goal to actually come up with a need, come up with a funding source, come up with whatever the design is, hire a contractor and do it in the next 10 years. But I do feel like we should dream big.
Yeah, and start the process earlier. Maybe like if we started in phase three, then we'll be way down the line by the time the plan's time span has completed.
Yeah. So should we just enhance this 3.5 and say like identify opportunities and commence improvements in access to water-based recreation and do like phase two to phase three? We could like have both listed.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to address it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyone
because
else?
maybe we'll identify some of those too in our ranking list of existing owned spaces too.
Yeah. All right.
I had a woman call me the other day because we have an access on the Rowley River, and she was saying she wanted to launch a canoe, and she didn't understand why the municipal ramps wouldn't just like offer that service for a fee. Like, hey, I want to come. I'm from out of town. I want to launch my canoe today. Not a boat. I know like boats are different, but like, she's like, I can't believe that I couldn't go like launch a canoe from like a town boat ramp. And she's like, towns could make money off this. And I was like, that's a good point. I don't know why municipalities do that resident only kind of situation, but I don't know. It just happened yesterday, so this made me think about it.
Yeah, and Mike, that gets me thinking about just like even at the Parker River, the town ramp and all that. If I want to put my kayak in there, let's say, like I honestly avoid going down there just because I know there's a lot of boat traffic, and I'm sure people do put their canoes and kayaks in, and you used to have Fernald's across the street and
Right.
the other place that closed down. But it would I could see some kind of improvement there,
Yeah.
being defined so that just there's a little more clarity about, not getting in the way of the trailers that are coming and going.
Right. Parking is probably the underlying issue in those
Right.
instances, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
more of it than the
The
direct
town.
access
Yeah,
itself.
exactly. Yeah. No, that's true for out of towners and stuff. Yeah.
All right. I like how you rephrased this, Christina.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Um, regularly monitor existing town held CRs. Yes, I think the conscom is legally obligated to monitor CRs. So, yeah, I don't know. I assumed that like the OSC would start becoming more involved in that process, but I didn't know since, it's already happening. I wasn't sure if that was like a top priority for our committee, but
Are
I do
you
think
sure it's happening?
no.
I don't think it is at all. I don't know that it's ever been done.
Okay.
I mean, and that's not targeting Newbury. I really only know of like 2 municipalities that have dedicated resources towards monitoring properties that they hold conservation restrictions on. And they have like an open space person on their as an employee. I think a lot of times staff either don't have the knowledge or experience to do it, or it's not a priority in their job descriptions, for municipal employees. So maybe somebody has, but town holds a conservation restriction on one of our properties and I've never seen a report or anything. So I just assume it's not happening.
Okay. So for when, just because I don't know, monitoring a CR would mean like a municipal staff person, maybe the conservation agent, maybe someone from the Conservation Commission, I'm not sure. They would go out to the property and just ensure that the owner is
Why?
abiding by all the rules of their restriction, basically.
Correct. Or working with the landowner if the landowner was looking to do something, to make sure it fit. Sometimes things require approvals. Sometimes they don't. You can do it without approval, depending how it's written. Town doesn't hold a ton of them, so like, I don't want to. It's not our business to tell somebody to add to their job, but it always struck me as odd that the state allows municipalities to hold restrictions, fully knowing that there's so much on municipal employees' plates that more often than not, this part of it's not going to happen. Because you just don't know. You don't know if something's being violated. You don't know if there's an encroachment. You don't know. You know what I mean? If nobody's like acting on it.
And that could be a committee or board member's role to monitor.
It could be. I think on behalf of if the holder is the Conservation Commission, there's no reason why another committee's member or something like that couldn't be the one conducting that visit, and then running it back through whether it's the select board or the Conservation Commission, whoever might be the one named on that document.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You can use volunteers to do that. It doesn't have to be a staff person, doing that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I don't personally know the status of Newbury's CRs, but maybe we should prioritize that a little bit higher.
Probably,
I'm not uncomfortable
but
with phase two. What do you guys think?
you mean
I think
keeping in the timing, you mean?
Yeah, in terms of the timing.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not happening anyways, so
Right,
Right.
we could wait another 3 years so
And
we
I
can
think
like, do some other
given
stuff.
you
given
could.
all the other stuff, I think it makes, yeah, keeping it in phase two.
Yeah.
Okay, I just tweaked it a little bit. So see what you think, because I feel like we should probably find out the Conservation Commission agent if there's a job description and it actually includes this in it. So I don't want to like usurp anybody. So I feel like this is the Conservation Commission's job, but actually we should identify. So maybe that should be part of it, unless it's already identified. So I don't want to put it in here that we haven't identified whose responsibility it is, if it actually is written down somewhere. So maybe how about support the appropriate town department?
Yeah, I can also like look into it and talk to Mason and see if, you know, it's him or the conscom specifically, or like who would we be supporting? Kind of, I can just ask him, see what he says.
Okay. All right, good. So we can tweak this as we go.
Sounds good. 3.7 develop management plans for town-owned conservation rec and otherwise protected open space areas, identifying responsible parties, regular maintenance, potential enhancements, factoring in climate resiliency. Again, I thought this was something that would come later in the process because we would have to do those assessments first, and then like we would start with assessing all the properties, and then we would know that in the future we were going to be developing management plans. So I don't know, phase 3 felt like a good place for that task. It could be kind of like, we've done some projects, what do we still need to do, what do we need to do for the future with the next open space plan. This could kind of prepare us for that like next set of years down the line.
Yeah, I say you just keep on going and we'll stop you if we disagree with what you've got. How about that?
Sounds good. All right, home stretch. Identify open space properties that could benefit and accommodate the inclusion of educational materials to increase public awareness. Duplicate the information on the town website. I know that that's been kind of that was stressed in the public survey results, so I thought phase 1 would be good, and it's kind of, in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of an easier one. Develop a method of ongoing communication with the public to continue to receive feedback during the implementation of the plan. Again, phase 1, I thought that would be good because once we establish that flow of communication, then we can use it to help us throughout the implementation of the plan. Create a map showing public open space trails and post it on the town website. Again, kind of similar to 4.1, so I put phase 1. Host events, guided walks, and educational programs that increase awareness of Newbury's open spaces. Look for and create opportunities to collaborate with other committees and boards on events. I thought that could be ongoing, so that we keep that collaboration going throughout the plan. Create a public-facing inventory of the status of town-owned and non-town-owned public open space areas in Newbury and their ownership. Update as needed. I thought that could be phase 1, so we can have that as a reference throughout the implementation. In partnership with local land stewards, create and disseminate information regarding open space and recreation resources in the town. Again, ongoing. Meet annually with other town committees to identify initiatives that can support the further protection of farmlands and historic lands and educate about open space and rec goals to build consistency in local decision making. Ongoing. That's always going to be an important, important task for our committee. I definitely want to, emphasize communicating with the other town departments and committees. Produce an annual report for select board and town meeting. That's like, we did that recently. It's like not a huge lift at all, and it's good for the public to know what we're doing. Identify and reach out to local nonprofit, public, or private groups working towards preservation of or enhancement of open space and rec areas in the town. Ongoing. Collaborate with Town Department of Public Works and other relevant town boards / departments to review the potential for bicycle and pedestrian accommodation for existing and future open space areas. I think that was pretty heavily stressed in the public survey, so I put phase 1 so we can maybe get some changes by phase 3. So yeah, that's everything in the timing column. And yeah, Kristen talked a little bit about the funding column. We're still working on it, but yeah, I think most of these are from the Eco One Stop grant. So yeah, and yeah, this is just like kind of a snapshot of what's available right now. Like these could change, but I think we just have to, show that we've done a little bit of thinking about where we're going to be getting the funding for all of these tasks. So
I have one more objective that I'd like to add, and it's about water quality. And so it's, water-based recreation was a big focus in the SCORP for the state of Massachusetts. And they said, like, we're finding like this is what we're going to spend some of our money on over the next 5 years. And so I think that Plum Island is a huge draw. And so Parker River is a huge draw. And are there any other big water bodies that are used for recreation, I guess, and the tributaries going to the Parker River? But I'd like to just put something in here that says something like identify potential ways to study water quality impacts to improve water-based recreation opportunities in the town, or something along those lines.
yes, I think that would be really good to add. I think we all agree that that's very important.
So in this document, I can't insert, I don't know, maybe I can insert a row. Let's see. Oh no, I can insert a row. Insert one row above. Okay.
Would you put it in 4, goal 4, or are you like there's
I was gonna actually like
put it in 3?
enhance.
Okay.
I was thinking enhance our public open spaces by improving water quality, but tell me if you think it
Yeah,
seems.
no, I guess I was sort of seeing it as, yeah, no, I think that's fine. You could call, there's an educational aspect to it and an awareness and involvement and stewardship, where it's a form of being a steward of the water, right? Like,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think either place is fine. So
Yeah, I think 3.6 is a good place to start with that one as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of like action. Probably the results of some of these findings then will turn into an objective under 4 eventually.
yeah.
Wait, what did I say?
You said something along the lines of identify potential ways to study water quality impacts to better enhance water-based recreation, I think was the end. Identify potential ways to study water quality impacts. I did write it down, Hunter. Yes.
I'd really forget it, Dad.
Well, I know I'm trying to remember what this woman said to me.
Yeah,
how I recorded it.
You could read it and you forgot. What's wrong with your head today, Dad?
See what I get to deal with.
Oh my gosh. No,
Wow.
letting you no slack over there.
Reading night with me.
He just graduated kindergarten yesterday and he's already running the show.
Hey, it sounds that way. Yeah.
Last day of kindergarten.
Exciting.
Yay.
And I lost my first tooth.
Oh, gosh.
Ooh.
Maybe you can join the committee in the fall. Okay.
So cute. I have something, I must say. Apparently, the planning board meeting can't start because we are having this meeting right now on the planning board Zoom account.
Oh boy.
Oh, okay.
So I'm so sorry, but I think we have to end within the next 4 minutes or next 6 minutes.
Yeah, we should probably do 2 minutes to give you time to like
Yeah.
you know, to open it back up.
I promise I checked with our IT person and I said, will this be an issue? He was like, no, not an issue. We've done it before. And I was like, okay.
No worries, no worries.
Kristen just called me and said she's getting a message like she can't start her meeting.
Yeah. All right. So let's vote to put the other items on a future agenda and to collaborate, not collaborate before that meeting, but just to advance the ball. If anybody hasn't finished their incorporation of comments from MVPC, and we'll have to find our next meeting date in the future, and we can vote to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor to adjourn?
I
Aye.
Sorry. I'm so sorry, you guys. Thank you for
No worries.
meeting
No
for
worries.
the hour that we were here. I'll be in communication about a next meeting date. And yeah,